enclave in the Middle East and the taste in many, if you think about the Saudis have developed very expensive tastes over the years. Maybe things are changing, but what I've heard was they became big users of adrenochrome. This is why now to your people, I'll move away from
What
Valiant
about the
Thor.
CERN?
So we could
What
talk.
about that big CERN
Oh,
portal?
okay, so we should go to Geneva.
What about the CERN
So
portal?
pretty much the
Yeah.
Valiant Thor's last thing was we're finishing up under Gaza
Mm-hmm.
and in Israel, because that was one of the big sources. They started at the Vatican. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
he said, me and my people, and that's the Venusians, are moving up into Geneva soon because we have a real problem. Very, very deep layers. We think it might go as many as 18 or in the 20s cities under there. He said, and many of you see, people have been wondering, well, where did all the elites go? They haven't all been executed. A lot of them have disappeared. They've all disappeared into their bunkers and underground facilities. And people like Valiant Thor and their crew want to root them out. And the reptilians that they're feeding, and all the ways that they're keeping this. You see, the adrenochrome harvesting, they set down several labs in LA.
Really?
They shut down one in Rochester, New York,
Wow.
right by an airport. The way they're set up is it's like a huge Quonset hut sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
or an abandoned warehouse.
Mm.
They get a bunch of like med students or interns
Mm-hmm.
to monitor the human beings.
Uh-huh.
It's specifically children, and that's because of children's adrenaline systems. Okay? So you don't find they're not taking people like you or me, no matter how good your blood is,
Right.
to make adrenochrome. Because you're not producing the kind of it.
What's going on at CERN? What's the CERN portal?
Oh, well, and they've been exploding, going further and further with exploding atoms and molecules. And yeah, and that's, now you're talking about the dimensions. Okay, if you
Oh,
want to get a really good teacher about that,
yeah.
a guy that has a whiteboard that
Yeah.
comes from the UK, and he brings you all the way from the start to the finish, his focus has been all the other dimensions,
Yeah.
all the different portals,
Yeah.
and all the ways demonic entities, and you see Valiant Thor will talk about this too.
Yeah.
There are certain demonic entities they can't just wipe out. They have to move them to other dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
And then, kind of like Pandora's box was supposedly, Pandora's box, the myth of someone opening
Yeah.
the lid, well, supposedly that's a dimensional world, you see.
Mm-hmm.
Because this has happened before.
Right.
It happened in Russia. Russia had to drive out the Khazars. The Khazars were engaged in human sacrifice.
Mm.
They did blood ritual, especially with children, and they were known cannibals. Now, I notice you don't talk about cannibalism, and it's probably good if you're not ready to get into that. But you see, that's what really did it for people like Valiant Thor.
Oh, yeah.
Once people on Earth have
Yeah.
started eating other humans,
Yeah.
you know that the human race is going to break down.
Mm.
There has to be
What,
something.
what do you think about Elon? Something what?
There has to be some power that breaks that apart
Right.
and really smashes it. And Valiant Thor's thing is, we have dimensional pods. We have another planet
Mm-hmm.
for some of them, and we have ways they're not going to be entombed.
Has there been a lot of other Earths before, do you think?
Um.
It's hard to say.
Well, let's talk about the geoforming of Earth.
Uh-huh.
I don't think other Earths in terms of the rock.
Uh-huh.
But if you think in terms of geoforming, like, let's face it, look, any of the Jules Verne stuff, Journey to the Center of the Earth, right?
Yeah.
Supposedly, once you get into these domes, I bet you'd love to get a trip down into the
Yeah.
domes.
Dulce, New Mexico. We should go there. What happened when you went to Area 51? You see anything noteworthy?
Well, I got way beyond every